What's up, you guys? This is Paul, and today I would like to talk about one of my favorite martial arts movies ever. And believe it or not, it stars Bruce Lee, telling the story of Bruce Lee. Now, some of you guys remember this movie from the mid-70s, and hey man, nothing can beat the real Bruce Lee. But when I was a kid, they were showing this movie all the time on TV. And me and my little brother kind of thought this was the real Bruce Lee. I mean, we kind of understood it wasn't, since they show him that he passes away in the end. But Bruce Lee was so charismatic in this movie with his smiling and his really good kung fu. I think Bruce Lee was on top of his game in this movie. You know, we know he was put out there as a Bruce Lee imitation, and this movie was meant to be a powerful tribute to Bruce Lee, and I think it served well. Now, this movie is half cool and awesome and legit kung fu, at least in a movie sense, but it's also hilarious because of the way the actors' faces look, and mainly the English translation. It's often very hilarious. But this movie attempts to give you all the so-called real fights that Bruce Lee got into off camera. And I'm sure almost all of these stories are exaggerated, and some aren't even real. But it sure makes for a hell of a movie. This movie pretty much goes from scene to scene of all the so-called fights Bruce Lee got into off camera. Like when the legendary time when he was filming Enter the Dragon and some cocky kid challenged him. And the truth is that Bruce Lee did beat up a guy real quick who got cocky on the set. But they make it really awesome in this movie. I can't recommend this movie enough. You can find it under the title Bruce Lee True Story. Remember, this is Bruce Lee, or more likely, Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth. That's the title most of us are familiar with. And it's often just tagged onto these cheap Bruce Lee DVDs that actually are disappointingly all Bruce Lee. This one actually gives you one real Bruce Lee movie, The Chinese Connection, but then a Bruce Lee movie, Blind Fist of Bruce Lee, which was actually pretty good, and Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth. Listen, there's a lot of crap out there where you buy a Bruce Lee DVD and there's no Bruce Lee. But if you can find one of these cheap DVDs that has the Bruce Lee, the Man, the Myth, you scored big time. Now, this movie is funny, and it shows all these great fights, and but it also translates funny. Do you remember this? This is supposed to take place when Bruce Lee was challenged by a kickboxer. I'm sorry, a Muay Thai fighter. Oh, Charlie Horse. Kicks this guy's ass, and after his dad talked all this trash, listen to what he has to say.
Bruce Lee, I guess you're right. Kung Fu is better. So next time, you listen to me. Because I'm not doing the talking here. Kung Fu is...
Yeah, did you catch that? Bruce Lee, I guess you're right. Kung Fu is better. And before that scene, that guy was talking mad trash on Bruce Lee, saying this scene shows like when Bruce Lee was young. You know, this karate guy claims karate's better than Kung Fu, so Bruce Lee beats him up in front of his students, and he says, you know, and so that kind of happens. All these scenes give you these so-called fights that happened, and it sure makes for a lot of fun. One thing before I end this video, I mean, this whole movie's chock full of them, but this scene here gives you some imagery I know you can't forget. Well, that's Linda, you know, making him his energy shake. I think his manager comes in and says, oh, this guy, you know, wants to fight you. He's this real... A so-called setup fight that happened off camera and with this guy. And before I end this video, I think this imagery will remind you. Bruce Lee is really looking great in this movie. He was at top of his game. Whether the kung fu he's doing is real or not, it's very much real movie kung fu. Very sharp.
I could tell his kung fu was always show. Jay's the winner.
See, first Bruce Lee said, "I don't have time to fight you. I'm making movies."
Both of you hold it. Showtime. Come. You have to prove it, you better.
His instructor is telling him, gearing him up. Me and my little brother loved this movie. And Bruce Lee was so charismatic in it, and he's smiling and joking throughout the whole movie. He's kind of a superhero in this movie. Big time superhero. That towards the end of the movie, when they show him passing away, it really hurts you hard. I remember it hit me hard, and I'm thinking, hopefully this video can bring back some memories for you guys. Because before Star Wars, actually somewhere between Star Wars and Empire Strikes Back, I was seeing this on the TV a lot, and this movie did a lot for me and my little brother. We just thought Bruce Lee, even though this is not the real Bruce Lee, was the greatest ever. And this movie gives you all the fights, man. And at the end of the movie, they talk about how Bruce Lee could come back, you know. And I took those words seriously when they say some say Bruce Lee will come back in 1985 or 1980, and we took that seriously. That the movie breaks your heart at the end, because Bruce Lee here is so charismatic and giving us a Bruce Lee that. Yeah. Do you guys remember this? It gets really intense with the sounds. I know you guys remember this. Watch. Hell yeah.
So you feel my legs? Now, you know these are just as deadly.
Hell yeah. And then the movie gets into his mysterious practices of, and I've seen this in other movies, he kind of had some of that early technology where you have those electronic things that twitch your muscles. And this movie kind of was showing us, I think the truth is Bruce Lee was using that stuff while he was busy working on Enter the Dragon, so he could, stay ripped, but also he was busy writing scripts and working around the clock, and then, he was dead soon after. But this movie kind of implies that some of these bizarre training techniques that Bruce Lee used, may or may not have used, contributed to his early death, which is probably not true, but it sure made for an intriguing movie. So that's the end of my movie. I hope copyrights let this movie go through on my Facebook or YouTube, because I'm not trying to take the credit. It's Bruce Lee and
To attain the highest level martial arts performances ever seen, on screen or off.
Anyway, that's it for my video. What a movie. Bruce Lee, the man, the myth. If you guys just remembered it thanks to this video, I hope you guys track it down. It's cheap, easy to find. Or if you've already got it, let me know, because I think Next to Enter the Dragon, it might be my favorite kung fu movie ever. All right, you guys. Have a good night.